Hey everyone, this is Phil and this is my Lomo MC-A. So last time you might have seen that I had a little hands-on courtesy of Lomo Japan with the MC-A prototype, but this time it's actually my proper camera. I've been putting film through it. I'm currently on my 6th roll and I feel like I can give you a much better overview of what this camera is actually like than before. So I want to go into that with you. So first off, I did buy this. I got a little bit of a discount from Lomo Japan, and they gave me 2 rolls of film to shoot with it too. So keep that in mind. I'm slightly biased because we do work together every once in a while. But overall, I am really happy with this camera. And as I've mentioned before, I have been shooting film point and shoots and point and shoot cameras in general a lot more since we had the kids. It's just changed my needs with a camera by 180 degrees. I simply a lot of time don't have the time to manual focus. Sometimes I will have something else in my other hand. I will have the toys, another kid, and whatever. So autofocus is really what I look for in my family camera these days. And the Lomo MC-A has really filled that niche very, very well. So first off, if you're not familiar with the MC-A, this is a brand new newly developed film point and shoot autofocus compact camera made by Lomography, and they went for a surprisingly premium route. If you've ever had a Lomography camera before, they usually go with much more plasticky, cheap filling designs, but this is actually a metal body and feels surprisingly premium for a Lomography camera. The lens on it, as others have noted, is a iteration, I would say, on the Minotaur lens that was on the LCA. And you can clearly tell from the design as well that this was iterating on the design of the LCA. So the MC-A has autofocus, as I've already mentioned, but it also has zone focus on the sides here. Which is in the same way as the LCA. You have 4 settings here for infinity, 1.5 meters, 0.8 and 0.4, which is of course the minimum focus distance. The lens is a 32 millimeter 2.8 lens. It is a iteration on the Minotaur lens found on the LCA, and that they also brought out in M mount previously. If you want to see my review on that, just click in the corner there. And I really like this lens. It's a very contrasty lens. It has a fair amount of vignetting, which is a little less on this one, but it's still present. And yeah, this lens, the Minotaur 2, does kind of inherit the characteristics of the Minotaur 1. And I do need to point out that it does ghost a little bit in direct or directional light. So check out these sample photos to give you an idea of what the ghosting and flare is like. Overall, I'm very happy with the lens. I quite like the characteristics of the Minotaur series in general. So yeah, very happy with it, and I quite like it. You do have an autofocus mode, which is the first click on the power lever here. And then you also have a manual focus mode, which uses the aforementioned zone focus lever to set the distance. It unfortunately does not preset the distance completely. So if you set it on manual focus and then you have pressed the shutter button, you will notice it moves into position. Fortunately, it moves very quickly. So if you have a look at this, It's almost instantaneous, so it is very quickly focusing, which is very nice. It also comes with an aperture priority mode. So you have a P on the far end of the aperture dial, and that's obviously stands for program. Then you have 2.8, 4.5, 6, 8, 11, 16. So you can preset the aperture as well. And it does automatically select the proper speed for you if you have the speed dial on auto. You also can set the speed manually. So if you have your aperture set and then you set your speed, it will shoot at the speed and aperture set. Unfortunately, it does not do shutter priority. So even if you set the aperture dial to P and then you set a speed, it will always stay at 2.8. Unless it's at 500, then it will automatically go to f4. So this shutter cannot do 500 2.8, which apparently I have been told is very common for this type of leaf shutter. The vintage variety of point-and-shoot cameras often had the same limitation. And yeah, that's just something to be aware of. It's not something I would normally expect to use that much anyways. So 2.8, 500 is not available. And I did ask Lomography about why that is. And they just told me it's technically possible, but it would run the shutter down very quickly. So it would definitely shorten the lifespan of the shutter. So I guess that's a compromise that I can definitely live with. You also, next to the shutter dial, have an exposure compensation dial, and you can also set the ISO speed manually. So it goes from 12 all the way up to 3200. And while I'm scrolling through this, you will also note a DX designation, which is of course the DX code reader that this camera does have. So it will automatically read the film speed if your film has a DX code. So you can manually set it to 25 ISO, and then you can over or underexpose for another 2 stops. So you have a very, very wide latitude of exposure to set on this camera. Which is very cool, especially when Lomography sells insane films like ISO 9 or whatever the Phantom, was it Phantom? I think it was Phantom, film is rated at. Yeah, then the other thing on the top plate that you can see is the MX button, which is of course multiple exposure. This is a Lomography camera, so it does need to have that. And you have a flash button for flash off, which is the default, and I appreciate that. And then flash on, first curtain and second curtain, so you can play with kind of shutter drag, light trail kind of effects with that flash as well. Then you have a self timer, goes from 2 to 30 seconds. Yeah, and then on the back, you can see the winding lever. So this camera does not advance automatically, which I personally really appreciate. I do not like the sound of motors, and of course this does have a focus motor, so that is something we have to live with, but it does not have a winding motor, so that annoying sound of the film winding, which often does get in the way, and I just personally don't like it, is not there. So you can wind it manually. Now let's just take a photo of myself with the camera so I can show you this. And I've also gotten quite a few comments about the shutter lag. So let's just go straight from 0 to shooting the shot. That will help me demonstrate the shutter lag, or hopefully lack thereof. I'll just press down hard on the shutter, so it will just go straight from focus to the shutter, and you can see how fast it goes. So as you can see, it's fairly quick. And personally, I've been very happy with the performance. I'm not a super quick shooting street photographer type of guy, but that will give you an indication, hopefully, of how quick the shutter is. And then we'll wind the film. And as you can tell, it's pretty smooth. The winder is fairly pleasant. Doesn't have a lot of ratcheting feel, but I do feel like it has a little more of that tactility in the winding lever than the prototype that I touched had. So I'm not quite sure if they tweaked that or if it was just a quirk of that prototype. But this winding lever does feel a lot more tactile. Then the finder, if you will recall, the prototype that I touched didn't have the frame lines in the finder yet. The frame lines in this finder are kind of thick, so I'm thinking maybe they have compensated a little bit for maybe inaccuracies, maybe like copy variants in the lens, or just I don't know, make it easier to kind of feel like you got the frame that you wanted. Personally, I would like them to be a little thinner, but it's something that I can live with. The viewfinder also has a coating that's kind of gold to the eye. If you look at it, I can see myself in the reflection, and it actually cools down the image when I look through it. That's either a plus or a minus. It's just a quirk. And then on the bottom plate, we have the cover for the battery. As I mentioned before, it comes with a rechargeable CR2 battery, which is very, very cool. So you can charge it via a port on the camera, like you would expect with digital modern cameras. So you do have to take the battery out, but it is rechargeable, which is greatly appreciated. Then the rewinding lever. Just flips out like it does on many older cameras. And I think this is based on the Rolei 35, but don't hold me to that. I'll have to look it up. I'll put a correction on screen if it's wrong. And one little quirk that this mechanism has is that you do have to slot in the lever into one of the indents on either side of that dial with the arrows. Otherwise, it won't catch and it would just continue to spin into infinity. I do kind of have a little tiny gripe with this lever, because that little nub on the end is very, very small and very hard to grip. So again, very common with this kind of camera, but it is very hard to grip and very hard to rewind. As you can probably tell, these little screws here have a little stud attached to them, these three, and that is just to help it sit flat, which it does sit very, very stable. And it does have a good amount of heft to it because of that metal build. It has a little grippy ridge here on the side, which I do appreciate that they did this, but it is kind of shallow and the leatherette is fairly slippery. So if you have dry hands like I do, it does not provide a lot of grip. So it is a little bit, it's better than nothing, but it doesn't provide a huge amount of grip. Yeah, keep in mind, my hands are very, I'm like the negative Spider-Man. Glass phones just slide out of my hands like nothing if I'm not sweating. Then the lens is threaded. Whoop. In a 30.5, and it does come with a protective UV filter, which is nice to have. And my contact at Lomo Japan was saying that they do intend to make some other filters, like color filters or whatever. probably some quirky kind of artistic filters as well, since the 30.5 filter thread is not very common. Note that the meter is right here, so it's not through the lens. So you do need to make adjustments to the metering yourself if you're using the flash filters or any colored filter, whatever, on the lens. Very minor gripe with this filter thread is that it does turn the aperture dial. So you do have to really take care to reset that after you attach or detach a filter. As I said, very minor, but yeah. It does also come with a splitzer, which, if you aren't a lomography aficionado, is kind of an attachment to allow you to cut the frame in half. So you could technically turn this into a half frame camera if you put it vertically, or you could turn it horizontally and just do like a double exposure with the top and bottom in separate frames. So it is a very lomography thing to do, to give you that opportunity to experiment and make artsy pictures like that. So I haven't played with that yet. It's definitely a cool idea. It's very much appreciate that it came with the camera, and I'm looking forward to trying it out. And it also comes with a bunch of gels for the flash. So if you want to turn your flash red, blue, yellow, whatever it comes with, then you can do that. Another very lomography kind of feature to add. And I do appreciate that they just threw that all in, which brings us to the packaging, which is outrageous. It's a huge box. Comes obviously with the camera. Comes in the funky wrapping cloth, which is basically Velcro, but it feels like microfiber, and it doesn't have the coarse side. So it's kind of like you had the smooth side of Velcro on both sides, and just it still sticks. This is a thing that I've seen a few times in recent memory, and we've actually, funnily enough, used that for a giveaway in our company as well. So I was aware of it, but it was still very funny to see that in a camera purchase. And then inside the very sturdy and big box, there's also an art book, which I was pleased to see one of my photos in. And all the accessories that I've already mentioned. And in addition to that, also a strap, which I'm not using. As you might be able to tell, I'm using a thin red generic strap that I had lying around, because the included strap, which is a leather strap, was kind of felt a little too stiff for me, and it attaches with like a key ring, and I just wanted one of these little flimsy little things. I'll have to look for some Wiimote straps, because those were really the best straps ever. Another cool thing is that if you detach the filter, so if you're not using the filter, it is completely flat, which is much appreciated. Even with the filter, it only adds like maybe 3-4 millimeters. And it does come with a cap as well, which I threw on once, took a photo with the cap still on, and never used it again. So that is something that I do not need, and I do appreciate that they included it, but it's not something I'm going to use. In general, I've just had this in my pocket for the entire like week and a half, maybe 2 weeks now, that I've had it, and it's just been ever present. It's exactly what I intended to use my GR3 for, and it's just a pleasure to have a film camera on me at all times. Now, it does fit in a trouser pocket, male trouser pocket, I guess, but it's not very comfortable. So it is kind of chunky. It is not as slim as some other cameras, and I'll put some comparisons with other film cameras on the screen right now. I do feel that the closest in size, I would say, is my CL, my Leitzman Ultra CL. except of course it doesn't have a external lens, and it is a little bit slimmer, but it's fairly close. So for me, that is great because I'm very used to using the CL, and it just feels very nice, boxy, and tactile in the hand. When it comes to handling, I have no gripes with this camera. It's super intuitive. The manual mode for me, the few times that I've used it, it's worked great. It does have a built-in flash. It has a PC sync if you're using a more proper flash, but it doesn't have a hot shoe or cold shoe. So to attach something on top is not possible. It does, of course, instead of the whole hot cold shoe, have that quote that I think by now everyone is aware of. Honestly, I haven't really looked at it. It hasn't really bothered me much. I do also wish that they had put the proper pixelated Lomo logo on the front instead of this handwritten one, but it is what it is. So if that really bothers you, you will have to tape over it. Otherwise, yeah, it's there. Quality-wise, I have had a very good time with this. I think the lens is very close in characteristics to the original Minotaur, which I love. And if you want to see some examples of that, check out my video on it. Or also, if you want to watch the MC-A review by Ben Fraternale, I think that was really the best one I've seen so far. The one from In an Instant, he did a really great job with that. I do also have a few gripes with it. Of course, no camera is perfect, and I'll go over these with you because, of course, I'm not hiding anything from you. So first off, as already mentioned, there is no shutter priority mode. There is no way to attach a cable shutter. So you would basically have to either use the self-timer on a tripod or just touch it very lightly and hope you don't shake it. If you do long exposures on a tripod. And the max aperture and speed combination is 500 f4 or 250 and 2.8, as I've already mentioned. There is no shutter speed or aperture info in the viewfinder. So you do have that on the display in front, and then you of course have it at the dials, but you don't have a way of checking which aperture or which speed you are at while you're actually looking through the viewfinder, which is kind of a bummer, but I understand why it wasn't possible. On my very first roll, the frame indicator didn't show up in the display. Fortunately, with the 5 rolls that I've shot since, it hasn't been a problem. I think I figured out what the issue was. You load it from the bottom. You load the film canister basically from the bottom, and then you click in the top. And I think I didn't push it in the top properly, and it might not have engaged fully, which led to that issue. Not 100% sure, but every frame was properly on the film. It just didn't display which frame I was at. So take it with a grain of salt. I haven't had the issue since, but I did have it on the first roll. The loading mechanism could be described a little better in the manual. I didn't feel like it was possible to actually push the film through the slot, so it peeks out the other side, and that is how you are supposed to use it. So what they've told me is that you're supposed to use about the third sprocket hole and not the first one, which I definitely did for my first 3 rolls. And when I did that with this film, with Lomo Chrome Classic Color 200, that did lead to the winder being a lot stiffer on this particular film. I haven't had the issue with other films, so it might be related also to the film thickness. So the winder, the lever was very, very stiff and would kind of make an unpleasant sound when I advanced it. So when I contacted Lomo about this, they did give me that tip to load it a little deeper and then try it again. And that did alleviate the issue. It was still a little stiff, but not to the extent that where I was worried about breaking the camera, basically. So since that, the second roll of classic color that I shot was fine. And every other stock I've shot Ultramax, I've shot Lomo 400, and I currently have a roll of Konica Centuria 400 in there, which for this film, it's of course great that I have the manual ISO setting. And those have all been fine. And then one other thing that I have noticed is that some of the frames were overlapping a little bit, a tiny bit, and I've definitely have had people say that that's a deal breaker for them. I don't know if it's user error or if it's the camera, because I like sometimes when you wind, you don't wind all the way and you don't notice, and there might be a little margin of error in this camera where even if you don't wind it completely, it can still go. And that is kind of my theory. So I am very consciously on this and the last roll, winding it fully and then giving it a little extra tug, which doesn't feel like it moves anything, but never know. Yeah, since then I haven't had any overlapping frames, so it might be user error, but it does occur. So be aware. And if that bothers you, if an example like I put on the screen right now bothers you, then this might just be a camera that you need to maybe try out first and not invest in fully. Yeah, it doesn't bother me because if you get scans from a normal lab, a consumer grade lab, they will crop in more than that anyways. So yeah, it hasn't really bothered me, but is there. And I think that's all my gripes that I have so far. So as you will notice, I really don't feel like these are deal breakers to me personally, but to some people they might be. That's what I wanted to mention them. Otherwise, yeah, I've been very, very, very happy with the Lomo MC-A. This has been in my pocket since the moment I bought it, and I've used it for everything, for street photography, for just random snapshots during the day, and of course, lots and lots of pictures of the kids, which is exactly why I wanted it. And I can already see the comments, just get a cheap point and shoot from the 90s. It's just as good or better. The good ones are super expensive right now, if you haven't noticed. Two, the electronics are 40 years old. And three, this is a camera from a company that still exists and can hopefully be serviced. And I do hope that Lomography really lives up to that, that they are able to service and or replace these if they do have issues. From my friends that have reviewed these and have had early hands-on, there were some issues that had to be addressed. They did promise that they would be resolved in the final cameras, and it's really early on, so it's really hard to tell if there's going to be issues further down the road. So I really, really hope that Lomography will be good on the kind of promise of having that modern built new camera with modern components that they can actually service and keep running for a long time. Yeah, that's pretty much my take on this camera. I hope you enjoyed the samples that I've shown you. And for me, this is great. I'm very, very happy with my purchase. It's going to stay in my pocket for a long time, hopefully, at least until summer, where I can't wear a jacket anymore. And yeah, I'm glad I bought it. Have you purchased one? Are you playing with the thought? Do you have any thoughts on the alternatives? Are you gonna go for one of the other newer models, or are you living on the wild side and getting a Contax T2 or T3 and just YOLOing until it breaks? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for your time. I do appreciate it, and I hope to see you again. Peace.